This video is all about different independence movements in Latin America where countries wanted to rule themselves instead of being ruled by European colonial powers. The first thing to know when talking about Latin America was that most of it used to be controlled by Spain and Portugal in the form of colonies. Spain and Portugal used to use colonies in Latin America for farming, to produce corn, sugar, and cocoa, and as well as a place to get natural resources from. They would take gold, silver, and wood from Latin America and bring it back to Europe, where they would make a profit on it. Last thing to know is that the Catholic Church had political power, land, and money in Latin American colonies. They controlled nearly half of the wealth in Latin America by 1800. During colonialism in Latin America, there was a very rigid social order. And at the very top of the social pyramid were peninsulares. These were people who were born in Spain or Portugal, so they were Europeans, and they held important military and political positions. The next level down were Creoles. Creoles were colonial-born wealthy whites, meaning they were of European descent, but they had been born in Latin or South America. They owned most of the land and business, but they were still seen as second class to the peninsulares who had been born in Europe. At the very bottom of the social pyramid were the mestizos, and these were Latin Americans of mixed Native American and European ancestry. And they worked as servants, farmers, unskilled laborers, and they were the lowest social class who were often discriminated against. The first location for Latin American independence was Haiti. Haiti was controlled by France, and in Haiti the French had plantations where they grew sugar, cotton, and coffee. And most of this growing was done by slaves. There were about 560,000 people living in Haiti, and about 500,000 of them were slaves. What happened in Haiti was the first successful slave rebellion recorded in history. You had Francois Toussaint Louverture, and he led a bloody slave rebellion. He set fires to plantations, and he eventually led Haiti to independence from Napoleon in 1804. Independence movements also happened in South America, which was mostly controlled by Spain. Simón Bolívar was a Creole living in Venezuela, and he led many Spanish colonies to independence from Spain. These include Venezuela, Colombia, Panama, Bolivia, and Ecuador. And Bolívar was inspired by the ideas that started the French Revolution and Enlightenment. Another important person to know is José de San Martín, and he's from Argentina. He led armies to independence for Chile in 1818 and Peru in 1820. Brazil is another Latin American nation that gained independence from Europe during this time period. Brazil had been ruled by Portugal. In 1808, the Portuguese royal family fled to Brazil to escape Napoleon, who was conquering Europe. They declared that Rio de Janeiro was their new capital, and when they left to go back to Portugal, they left behind a prince, Dom Pedro, to rule for them. However, Dom Pedro felt that the Brazilians should be able to live on their own, free of Portuguese rule, and he eventually became Emperor Pedro I of Brazil, and he led the country using a constitution starting in 1822.